today, the Philistines would know that there is a God in Israel. He says, listen, today, it's not going to be me, but it's going to be God who hands you over. And you know the story. David takes one swing, and he hits him right in the forehead, knocks him down. He didn't kill him then. A lot of people think that David killed Goliath with the stone. No, he knocked him down, and he probably gave him a concussion. Then David runs up to him, takes Goliath's huge sword. Have you ever seen Final Fantasy? Have you guys played the Final Fantasy? You know the one guy with the huge sword? He takes his huge sword, and he just goes whack, chops his head off. And then you know what David does? He grabs his head, and he brings it up. And you know what happens then? All the Philistines begin to run. And all the Israelites, who are a bunch of turkeys and chickens, suddenly become brave, and they pick up all their swords and spears, and they start chasing the Philistines, and they kill all the Philistines. Courage, listen, understand this. Courage will cause others to also take the step. But the hard part about courage is that it always takes one person to be the first one. Have you ever been on top of a trampoline or a high place, and you're like, jump to the water, and like, no, I don't want to, I want to jump, but I don't want to be the first one. And then as soon as the first person jumps, what happens? Everybody jumps. All right, let's throw that rock at that windshield. No, I want to do it. And then as soon as one person does it, everybody else doesn't even think. They just, wham, bam, they break the glass. Courage. Listen, David saw this humongous guy, and he said, listen, I can do it, and I can do it because God is with me. And David knew that God had been with him. And because, David did something that day that a lot of you guys would not dare to do. Can I get personal with you for a minute? Check this out. I told you guys, we invited you, said, would you come into the presence of God? And a lot of you guys wanted to, but you didn't because you're sitting next to somebody and you were concerned what they would think. You didn't want to because you were like, no, I don't know what people are going to think if I go up there. Just to simply come up here to the presence of God, you think you would be brave enough to see a humongous guy who could possibly kill you? I mean, if you come up here, what's the worst that can happen? People can criticize you. So what? They're still going to criticize you. You know, when people make invitations to the altar call, I always go because people are going to criticize you if you stay or don't stay. So you might as well please God. You might as well be courageous. You might as well be brave and come and be in his presence. Now, there's 6 things that we can learn from David to learn to defeat our giants. This is my goal, and this is what I want to do. I want to challenge you to be courageous for God. Because I think there's a lot of you that have a lot to offer, but you're too scared. You're too scared to do it. You're too scared to take that first jump. You're too scared to live for God. You know, I love that video. Do you guys see that video? It says, courage often is not taking the first step or daring to ask the one person you like. But often, courage is not cheating when you can, doing the right thing when it's not the popular thing. See, I think a lot of you guys are not courageous enough to say, you know, I love God, I'm going to live for God, and I don't care what my friends think. I want to tell you something, and you guys might not like this. Leo, can we turn that light? It's really hot. It's making me sweat a lot. Thank you. Thank you, dude. You're awesome. Listen, often people come and they ask me, hey, Nestor, what do you think about tattoos? What do you think about piercings? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And you know what? I don't think about them because I would never do it. Why? Because I don't think they're cool? No. I think that to where I want to go and the things that I wanted to do for God, I think those things would stop me. I mean, let's be honest. If I came here one day and I had a tattoo in my arm, a bunch of you guys would go and tell your dad, Nestor got one. I can get one. Right? Now, is it a sin? No, I don't think it's a sin. But listen, I think a lot of times we do things because we want to fit in. We want to be like the world. We want to do the things that everybody's doing, and we're afraid of carrying our Bibles. We're afraid of putting a preaching or a verse in our computer or in our Facebook simply because we are not courageous. So I hope you would have the courage to live for God. So in your outline, go with me. And here's 6 things you can do to develop the courage to battle the giants in your life, okay? What are those things that are stopping you from serving God the way you should? Number 1, if you want to develop courage, okay, because you can develop it, the first thing you can do, number one, you got to stay faithful with the small things, okay? Let me tell you something. You will not achieve great things till you begin to conquer and stay faithful in those small things. In 1 Samuel 16:19, if you have it, can you open it? 1 Samuel 16:19 says the following. It says that Saul said, "Send me your son David, the shepherd." Did you know that before David could become a king, that before David could step up to Goliath, David was a shepherd? And you know what shepherds did? They defended their sheep. And if you read the story, David says, hey, whenever a lion or a bear came and they snatched one of my sheep, I would go after it. And I would take my slingshot and I would rescue my sheep from them. And he says to Saul, he says, as I've done to those, I will do to this man. He said, because I've been faithful in the little things. I've taken care of lions. I've taken care of wolves. I've taken care of bears. I mean, if I've done those animals, I can do this giant. And listen, until you're faithful in the small things, you will not be courageous to handle the big things. I love Hugo's story, my brother. He says that he began serving God by doing the soundboard in our old church. And he was faithful. And then they needed a bass player. And he learned to play the bass. And I think because he's been faithful in all the little things, God has opened great doors for him. So you gotta be faithful to the small things. Number 2, the second thing you can do to develop courage is you got to keep your eyes on the big picture. And what's the big picture? God wins. God wins. You know why a lot of times you're afraid of taking a courageous step for God? Because you're afraid and you don't know how the story ends. Can I tell you something? God has never, ever lost the battle. Never. Ever. You know why I decided to give my life to God? Because I realized that if I did, I could win. I mean, let me ask you something. How's your life going? If God is not really the center of your life, how's your life going? How's your education? How's your relationship with your parents? How's your future looking? How's your health? How's your mood? How's your heart? How's your brain? I mean, how are you doing? Are you winning in life? You know, it saddens me to see that so many people are losing simply because they refuse to just surrender and understand that if you would only have the courage to live for God, here's the final sentence in your life. God always wins. Always wins. You want to start winning in life? You got to start taking courage to live for God. God always wins. You want to know something? I know that my marriage is going to be great. As a matter of fact, I know that whenever Lorena and I decide to have a kid, I know I'm going to be a great father, and I know she's going to be a great mother. And I know that my kid is going to be a great kid. Because with God, I always win. I know that if I continue to make the sacrifices to live for God and start avoiding all those things, you know, I mean, come on, let's be real. Let's be real, please. You don't think I want to go clubbing? You don't think I want to go and do the stupid things? You don't think sometimes I feel like my life, I don't want to say what you post? You think I don't feel that way sometimes? But I've understood something, that with God I can always win. And I don't need to worry. Listen, if I start doing all the stupid things that the world wants me to do, guess what? Nobody ever wins. I challenge you. Find somebody who has just disorderly given their life and they have lived away from God, and ask them, look at their life. How does it end? Do they win? Are they happy at the end? I always tell you, look, you don't live for God, you're going to end up hurt. You're going to end up with regrets. You're going to end up just destroyed, shattered. Why? Because without God, you never win. And you know what motivates me to be courageous? that with God I always win. I always win. Why do I do what I do Sunday after Sunday, day after day? Because I'm winning. Yesterday was my birthday. And I don't say it so you can sing happy birthday. They already did. But listen, I realized something. And by the way, thank you for all the texts and tweets and Facebook comments that you guys made. Thank you. You know what that made me realize? I said, all these people that show their appreciation for me, they're a sign that God is helping me win in my life. I'm not good enough on my own to be the person that you think I am. I'm not. I am, and I do what I do simply because God is doing it in my life. All I'm doing is, God, here's my life. Tell me what you want me to do with it. And I said the greatest thing is what God is making of me and others. Some of you guys gave me some amazing words that literally made tears come out of my eyes. And I said, you know, I know myself, and that's not who I am. But that's who God's made me to be before others. And I'm winning. Are you winning? Psalm 17:26. Do you have it? It says, verse 16. Who is this pagan Philistine anyways, that he is allowed to defy the armies of the living God? David shouted in reply. And then I believe it's verse 45. He says, David tells Goliath, you come to me with sword, spear, and javelin, but I come to you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defiled. Today the Lord will conquer you, and I will kill you and cut your head off. And then I will give the dead bodies of your men to the birds and the wild animals. And the whole world would know that there is a God in Israel. And everyone would know that the Lord does not need weapons to rescue his people. It is his battle, not ours. The Lord will give it to us. You know, David was brave enough because he knew how the story ended. He won. He told them in advance, I'm going to cut your head off. And I'm going to take all the people we kill, and I'm going to feed them to the birds. And here's a 15-year-old. Justin, come here, Justin. Okay? Pretend Justin is David. Okay? And I'm Goliath. Can you imagine Justin coming up to me? Tell me, Justin, I'm going to cut your head off. I'm going to tear you apart. Now, you laugh because you know that's a joke. If me and Justin went at it, Justin would win? You guys think so? What you got, homie? See, he's not even bad. But really, deep down, you know that if me and Justin were to fight, it would be an even match. And that's how it was with David. Thank you, Justin. He's got his Kung Fu Panda shirt, so he could probably beat me. And that's how it was. But listen, David knew how the story ended. He knew that he wasn't bigger than David, but he knew that God was bigger. He knew that he was bigger than Goliath, but he knew that God was bigger than Goliath. Point number 3. If you want to develop the courage to win and defeat your giants, you got to gather courage from past victories. You got to gather courage from past victories. Come on. We're not all losers all the time. There's got to be times when you have experienced the presence of God. And there's been times when you got to remember the things God has done. For guys, have you ever played a game where you just make like an incredible shot? You just make an incredible shot, or you make an incredible goal, or you score an incredible touchdown, or you just hit a home run. And next time you come up at bat, you kind of have that in your mind. Or the next time you get the ball, you have that in mind, and you're like, I did it before. I can do it again. Girls, have you ever done your makeup in such a way that you get so many compliments? I don't know what would be equivalent to girls, But listen, you got other courage from past victories. There's stuff that you've been good at. There's stuff that you have won. There's got to be ways. You got to say, hey, I remember when I participated in the drama, and I remember how close it made me to God. Why can't I do it again? I remember when I opened my heart to God. I remember when I read my Bible and God spoke to me. You got to gather courage from your past victories. I'm going to skip the scriptures. You have them there. You can look at them home. I want to be able to finish on time. So gather courage from past victories. Guys,